77% of men over 50 who divorce never partner again within 10 years. Not because the market rejected them, because they discovered something the dating industrial complex doesn't want you to know. The game changed while you were married, and the new rules punished the exact qualities that made you a good husband. You spent 15, 20, maybe 30 years building stability, provider mentality, emotional availability, the capacity to commit. And now you're back in a marketplace that treats those assets like liabilities. The women you match with want the excitement of dating in their 20s with the security you built in your 40s. They want spontaneity from a man with a mortgage, passion from someone who's learned that passion without systems creates chaos. This isn't bitterness. This is the documented reality of dating after divorce for men who thought reliability was currency. Let's decode what actually happens when a man over 40 re-enters the dating market with the emotional architecture of someone who knows how to build, but finds himself in a demolition derby. Section 1. The Masculinity Reconstruction Trap. Research from Stanford identifies what they call masculinity reconstruction syndrome. 64% of divorced men specifically seek partners from cultures perceived as more relationship-focused. Because American dating culture now demands extensive emotional labor and constant self-presentation management. Translation: you're exhausted before the first date even happens. Here's the biological asymmetry nobody mentions. Women over 40 who've been through divorce approach dating as emotional recovery. Men over 40 approach it as system rebuilding. You're not looking for therapy disguised as romance. You're looking for partnership with clear operational parameters. But modern dating culture has pathologized masculine systems thinking. Your desire for clarity on expectations gets labeled controlling. Your need to understand relationship economics before investing gets called transactional. Your pattern recognition, the same skill that built your career, gets dismissed as cynicism. The data exposes an uncomfortable truth. Women say divorced men in their 50s rush connection too fast, wanting clarity, commitment, stability, yesterday. But when you examine the incentive structure, you're not rushing. You're applying risk management to a high-stakes investment with depreciating time value. Section 2. The 7 invisible penalties dating after divorce. For men operates under penalty systems that women's dating advice never addresses because they benefit from your ignorance. Penalty number 1. The transparency paradox. Women demand you open up about your divorce, then use everything you say as evidence you're not over it. One study found men avoid discussing ex-wives not from emotional attachment, but from learned pattern recognition. Vulnerability gets weaponized in vetting algorithms. Penalty number 2, the baggage asymmetry. She has a past. You have baggage. Same divorce, different frame. The market allows her to position her divorce as character development. Yours gets positioned as failure of masculinity. Penalty number 3, the provider devaluation. Your ability to provide, once your highest value, now signals you're boring or too safe. Research confirms women praise maturity but don't want boring. Many divorced men lean so hard into being safe and stable that they forget passion still matters. Penalty number 4. The age range restriction data shows men only interested in women who couldn't even be a year older are considered a huge red flag. Seriously, 95% of all men out there. But women over 40 routinely filter for men 5 to 10 years older. The dating market enforces hypergamy while socially punishing male mate preferences. Penalty number 5. The healing timeline mismatch. Therapists recommend 1 year of healing per 5 to 7 years of marriage. For a 25-year marriage, that's 5 years minimum. But dating apps position you as unavailable if you're not actively swiping within 6 months. The market demands participation before you're systemically ready. Penalty number 6, the child integration contradiction. If you prioritize your kids, women feel second place. If you introduce her too quickly, she feels overwhelmed by forced blended family dynamics. There's no correct timing, only competing accusations. Penalty number 7, the financial invisibility. Post-divorce, you're maintaining a household on single income, possibly paying alimony, definitely splitting assets. The cost of living as a single person is 50% or higher for each person than for a married couple. But women's dating advice positions financial caution as cheapness rather than legitimate resource management after systematic wealth extraction. Section 3. Why smart men set themselves up to fail. Here's the failure mode analysis nobody discusses. Intelligent men apply logical problem solving to an irrational market, then blame themselves when rationality fails. You think, if I'm honest about my situation, demonstrate emotional intelligence, show willingness to do the work, surely that creates value. But you're operating in a marketplace where demonstrating those qualities too early signals desperation, not desirability. The paradox? The exact emotional labor required to be a good long-term partner disqualifies you in short-term sexual selection. Statistical reality. 67% of second marriages end in divorce. 73% of third marriages fail. We don't get better at picking partners. We actually get worse unless we invest time to learn from the past. Why? Because men don't change their selection algorithm. They just change variables. My ex was type A, so I'll date type B. Same broken mate selection framework, different inputs, identical failure mode. Dating after divorce for men fails when you treat it like relationship problem solving instead of market reality acceptance. The 5-pillar exit strategy. Most dating advice tells men what to do. This tells you what to protect. Pillar 1. Time ownership. The 12-month embargo. Statistical analysis confirms 77% of women stay single 10 years after gray divorce, 62% of men. But here's what the data doesn't say. The 62% who partnered aren't necessarily happier. They're just recoupled. The sovereign move. Minimum 12-month dating embargo. Not because you need healing. That's therapeutic language for economic withdrawal. During embargo period, you're not recovering. You're recalibrating your value assessment framework. Most men measure their worth by female validation. 12 months teaches you to measure worth by internal metrics: physical capability, financial sovereignty, intellectual autonomy. Pillar 2, financial independence, the asset protection protocol. Post-divorce financial reality creates strategic advantage if you treat it as system design problem, not emotional wound. Calculate your total cost of relationship, TCR. Previous marriage consumed X% of assets over Y years. Dating consumes Z per month in direct costs plus opportunity cost of time. Run the numbers. Most men discover casual dating costs more per positive emotional return than any other discretionary spending category. Alternative allocation. That $300 to $500 per month dating budget compounds at 7% over 10 years to $86,000. That's a down payment. That's leverage. That's optionality. Pillar 3, physical sovereignty, the performance baseline. Age 45 plus divorced men have biological advantage nobody mentions. Testosterone optimization isn't about looking good for women. It's about establishing performance baseline that makes you indifferent to their evaluation. Lift heavy, not for aesthetics, for central nervous system recalibration. Your body needs to remember it's built for load bearing, not emotional service. Alternative allocation. That $300 to $500 per month dating budget compounds at 7% over 10 years to $86,000. That's a down payment. That's leverage. That's optionality. Pillar 3, physical sovereignty, the performance baseline. Age 45 plus divorced men have biological advantage nobody mentions. Testosterone optimization isn't about looking good for women. It's about establishing performance baseline that makes you indifferent to their evaluation. Lift heavy, not for aesthetics, for central nervous system recalibration. Your body needs to remember it's built for load bearing, not emotional service. Pillar 5, legacy protection, the generational reframe. Most divorced men see dating as finding replacement partner. Sovereign reframe. Dating is lowest priority legacy activity. Higher priority legacy work. Strengthening father-child relationships without romantic partner mediation. Building financial systems that survive your mortality. Developing skills/knowledge worth transferring to next generation. Creating asset base that provides optionality for your bloodline. The Stoic realization. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Dating after divorce for men isn't about finding the right woman. It's about realizing you've been granted involuntary liberation from a system that was optimizing for someone else's happiness. Your marriage ended. That's historical fact. But here's what the grief industry won't tell you. You're not broken. You're unsubscribed from a service that was overcharging you. The market wants you to feel incomplete without female companionship because lonely men are the most profitable consumer demographic. Dating apps monetize your isolation. Self-help content monetizes your perceived inadequacy. Even men's empowerment content often just redirects your effort toward different female validation. The peace equation. Peace isn't something you find in another person. It's what remains when you stop outsourcing your emotional regulation. Every man who rushes back into dating is trying to anesthetize the discomfort of being alone with his own thoughts. But solitude isn't loneliness. Solitude is the laboratory where you discover whether you actually like the person you've become. 6 months alone will tell you more about your character than 6 years of marriage. Because in marriage, you get feedback loops that tell you who you are in context of someone else's needs. In solitude, you get pure signal about who you are when nobody's watching. The asset reframe. Your peace is an appreciating asset. Every month you maintain it compounds its value. Every boundary you enforce increases its protection. Dating subtracts from peace. That's not cynicism, it's accounting. Every swipe, every conversation, every first date, every compatibility negotiation is a withdrawal from your peace reserves. Some men will find partners who add more value than they extract. Most won't. The data suggests most divorced men over 50 who date extensively end up more depleted than those who opted out entirely. But here's the sovereign insight. You don't need to know which category you'll fall into to make the right decision. You just need to run your own cost-benefit analysis without letting the market shame you for choosing peace over participation. The brotherhood acknowledgement. If you're 45, divorced, and discovering this perspective feels like breathing for the first time in years, you're not alone. There are thousands of men right now sitting in quiet apartments, questioning whether something is wrong with them because they don't want to re-enter the circus. Nothing is wrong with you. You're experiencing natural biological response to systemic mismatch. Your nervous system is telling you, this environment is hostile to your architecture. The culture will call it fear of commitment. Your pattern recognition knows it's efficient resource allocation. The permission statement. You have permission to choose yourself. Not in the narcissistic self-care sense the market sells. In the sovereign sense, you get to decide that your time, Energy and peace are not negotiable. You spent decades negotiating, compromising, adjusting, building around someone else's emotional weather patterns. You're allowed to be done with that. Dating after divorce for men isn't mandatory recovery. It's optional participation in a market that hasn't earned your investment. Some men will date and find genuine partnership. Those men will know because the ROI will be positive. More peace, not less. More clarity, not confusion. More energy, not depletion. For everyone else, there is no shame in building a sovereign life where female companionship is occasional luxury rather than pursued necessity. What was the moment you realized pursuing partnership was costing more than it was worth? Was it the third woman who said you were too available? The dating coach who told you to create mystery when you're a 50-year-old man with a mortgage and kids? Or was it quieter, one morning when you woke up alone and realized you weren't lonely, just alone, and that the difference mattered? Share your moment below, not for validation, for signal clarity, so another man questioning his sanity can read it and recognize he's not defective, he's just done participating in a rigged game.